Okay.
Hello, good. We are ready to start. Sorry for the delay in getting things started tonight. So let's do a quick roll call, and I will start with myself. Mike Miszewski, present. Skip Mackey, present. Kathy Garden,
Present.
Chris Kenworthy.
Present.
Also in attendance, we have Jackie Bogue and Karen Warner. And has everybody had a chance to review the agenda and the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. We have a quorum, because the only one that we're missing is, we have nobody in public comment.
I didn't see anybody.
No, nobody's here, so no public comment.
Okay, moving on, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have to make any changes
Somebody's
to the
here.
agenda as far as the, with Dustin?
I removed it already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already been updated.
I will second the,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the same with, it's not on there,
The
but
minutes.
the minutes from last meeting, do we have has everybody had a chance to review them, and do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
You're saying it's not on there, but it is on there. I thought you had.
I will second.
No, I didn't, yeah, I didn't see it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, I guess we'll move right into the finance. We'll get Josh back over here and have his presentation.
Let Josh come back.
Do we need to promote him?
I just did.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
And I'm back.
And you're back. And this time we can see you.
Yeah,
I shut the
see
mic
you all.
Hi,
a
Josh.
little bit better.
Thanks for the wonderful ride to the table.
Careful. Thanks for the ride to the table. Can you hear him okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you all hear me fine?
Oh, that's better.
Yep. Better?
Something
He's up here now.
just happened.
I just changed.
Is
We're-
awesome. We're good. We can hear you really well now. Go for
Oh,
it.
great. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll look at the check detail for July. As you all know, the school is really cash strapped at the end of June. So most of this has to do with payroll, and even though it was cash strapped, we did have some issues with payroll. So most of the transactions had to do with it, and one being the double payment which had to be pulled back, and some people unfortunately didn't get paid on time, so we had to wait for the SEG to come back to the school in order to pay out some people out in their contracts and whatnot. So all the action here in the middle was due to those hiccups. The initial 60,000 was the second payment, and the reason why that happened was our last payroll manager set out a scheduled payment, and our new payroll manager created one all on their own. Both of them went out. The school didn't have enough money, so we got knocked for insufficient funds and had to bounce the money back and pay our payroll vendor back the tax money before we were able to pay out the remaining people, and we couldn't do that until later in the month. So that was all of this action here during this ACH period, and then regular payrolls here at the bottom. So all in all, for the check detail, it was around $338,032.39. I know it's a pretty complicated situation, so if you all have questions, please let me know.
So the fees those are from the bank,
Yes,
totaling 100 and change, a couple $100.
right. And then the mosaic fees were for pulling back the money. That's why you'll see these $99.75 and $93.50 because they had to pull back the money and they charge a fee for that.
Okay, if that was one of you guys' employees' faults,
Yeah.
Shouldn't the school not be responsible for eating that, especially under the circumstances?
We plan on cutting it from our invoices this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And yes, it was completely our fault. We take full responsibility. We had some turnover um that was quite huge in our payroll department, and then we had to replace the person that was being replaced due to this mistake here. But now we have a very talented payroll person that knows the system in and out. So this definitely won't be an issue going forward.
Okay. Any other questions on this slide?
He
No.
answered them.
No further questions on this?
I have one more, I have a question related to just the SEG stuff in general.
The what stuff?
The SEG, the payments from the
Oh,
state.
SCG? Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Do we know if other charter schools outside of the Explore system were paid on time?
I know that no one was paid on time
Nobody was paid on time.
from our schools. No, it came out late for everybody. Everybody in the charter school system received an email, and they were all paid late.
Okay, so none of the late payments going all the way back to late last year were isolated to just Explore Academy or Explore Academy Rio Rancho?
No, no,
Okay.
there was no type of ill will or favoritism on any other side. Everyone was paid late.
Okay,
Several preschools in the area, I wanted to hire an individual to work. Her daughter's preschool closed until last week because staff left for non-payment and they had to try to rehire. Ask, if I'm correct, Ask also closed for a couple days and they started later because of it, where we still started on time regardless of it. And the fact
Yeah.
that we didn't have buildings ready.
did we receive any response to that letter that was sent?
Not on my end, no.
No,
And you weren't the only school that we work with that has sent a letter either that did not receive a response.
Do we need to run that further up the chain to somebody? Like, one of our senators or somebody, congressperson that's, or, the House representative, not congressperson, but House representative for our district?
I don't think it would be a bad idea, especially if it, tends to, happen again next year or the following year. It seems to be a habit now that it's happened the past 2 years, at least that I've seen.
Who would be,
Yeah.
I'm not a Santa Fe.
yeah, no,
person.
I think that, I have to go check again who exactly we sent it to. I think it went all the way to the secretary, but I want to make sure. If not, I would
did.
afford the secretary
I think
the
it did.
option.
Yeah, the secretary received it.
So I think
Yep.
I think then the next step is the governor's office, and then they'll just kick it back to PED, who will have to respond, but at least, hey, we didn't even get a response, this has
Yeah.
happened 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Something like that, forward it. I think the next step, assuming the secretary was indeed on that, the next step was the governor.
Okay. Can I?
Motion
I don't
to
know
do
if that's
so?
it's not,
Absolutely.
is it kind of on the agenda because it's a finance related item?
I'm good with that.
Okay. I'll make a motion to escalate that email that was sent up to the governor's office.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so
All right, sorry for derailing that.
No, not at all. No, it's completely fine. So we had the bank reconciliation for July, starting balance of $56,000 roughly. We had receipts in the amount of $606,000 in disbursements and around $352,000 for the month, where we had a healthy ending balance in July of $310,856.26. Where our expected general ledger matches our general ledger, so the books are fairly clean in that regard.
can go to second.
So we're very happy with the cash flow that is running in at the beginning of this year. So move on to the receipts. Here's where we had the return items due to them being pushed back for the extra payroll, as well as some at the SAG, the first major SEG payments that came in late, but it's the first one of the year that we hope to keep on rolling with the projected enrollment that we have, and as well as some reimbursements for the end of the year, all totaling $606,557.51.
Okay.
No questions here.
All right. That is all for what needs to be voted upon.
It says 606, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of those items are technically not revenue. I realize that.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
they're not revenue. It's just receipts for
Right, it looks like
they
there's
are
more
receipts.
money than there's not. That's my only. So the bottom line shows 606, where really it's not 606. I just want you guys to be aware of that, because four of those lines are returned checks, so it looks like,
It needs to still be reissued. Is that what you're saying?
well, it does that, or that, I guess that is
Nope.
my question.
So the receipts, it's not considered revenue, but the returned transactions that had to do with the hiccup for payroll.
Right, so this is just the receipts. Can you go back to the bank
Revenue
reconciliation
of the
maybe?
bank reconciliation?
Yeah, so your current
Sure.
balance is 310
Right. Current
because
balance is
that's just
310.
showing money that came in and disbursements. You see the
Yeah,
receipts
yeah,
and
yeah.
but the balance in the account
It's
is 310,856.
Okay.
Right, Josh?
Right, correct.
As
Yeah,
of
it's
July.
just the money received
July
back during the month. It's not considered revenue.
Okay, it just looks
Okay.
weird.
It's just accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the finance report as presented?
I'll move to approve the financial report as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the presentation portion, the forecast. Here we had some revenue changes due to some grants that the school received. You'll see those bars later on for kitchen infrastructure, SEG, which is projected at 432 students, which was our projection at the beginning of the year. And we had a huge kitchen infrastructure grants, which is around 400,000, I believe, for the school. We changed some expenses to match those revenue streams. But we're showing that salary is a little bit higher than what we anticipated them to be, and that's also because we did eat 90K worth of expenses from FY24, so it's not helping our bottom line whatsoever. But we did find some savings around supplies and purchase services to kind of counteract that. But we're looking at a negative fund balance still. So we're hoping that enrollment does rise, hopefully over even the 432 students. No, we're not quite there, but there is a wait list for the school. So we can keep as many people as possible come 40th day. But if that doesn't occur, we'll have to make some changes either to the budget or to staff in order to have a positive fund balance.
Does this include any of the stuff that Justin's working on to cover some of the
No.
furniture?
It does not, no. And what Justin's working on is primarily it's a loan that's going to be going to furniture and assets around $5,000 and below or and over. So it's dependent on what the board wants to do with that money. But I understand that is the reasoning for the loan is not for salaries, but for other items.
Correct.
And then does any of the forecasts include the anticipated interest rate change, or is that already baked into?
It's already baked into it. Yeah. And today, luckily, you will see as one of the bars that we did receive an SEG increase from PED. So that did help tremendously, around $100,000.
Is that reflected in what you're presenting now?
That is reflected.
So we're still showing 56,000 in the negative by the end of the year? Is that what you're
That
telling
is
us?
correct. That is correct. And that's including the bond covenant. So we would be in the green if it wasn't for the bond covenant, but we do have to have 20% of the lease in the ending fund balance by the end of the year to for that.
And it's also with IDEA?
That is,
Okay, we probably want to make
Yeah.
sure we review that with a little bit before 40th day.
absolutely, yes. I can agree more. We'll mull over the budget, and every item line, to see what we're missing, if there's anything missing, to see what we can do, obviously.
How are we still 56,000 negative?
You're not
Well,
negative
the,
based on the,
go ahead, Karen.
no, how, she's asking, how are we still 56,000 negative? And it's because the enrollment is lower than we anticipated, right?
Right, and staffing is higher than what we
I didn't
presented.
fully staff.
You didn't what?
I didn't fully staff.
So according to our records, there's about 46 people on staff. The presented budget had 40 and a half. So it is higher than
We might
what
need to
we.
review that. I'm at 44. So,
I
yeah,
know that there's some 44.5, maybe FTE, but we have 46 people.
okay, we might need to review that. You and I sit down and see, because I know I sent over to payroll a few times to take off a couple people who were still listed, who are not here.
Right, right. Yeah, I sent you that form of everybody that we had up to date, and it was only one person that we needed to take off. So she's off in
Okay.
this particular forecast. But we can definitely review that just to make sure that we have everybody accounted for, have everybody that has left, out of this this potential this budget and this forecast. But yeah, that's one of our highest items is salaries.
Because I'm afraid that's concerning, because right now we're still $7,000 under average compared to Rio Rancho. Rio Rancho Public School is paying 58 for a starting teacher, I'm paying 51. So to say that I have a higher budget, the districts around us are paying a lot more.
That's the world of charters,
Right.
budgets. Can't compete with
Ah,
an $18,000 school.
not what I was prepared to see tonight.
Yeah, it's it's the average per teacher is around 65,000 for the school. I know that's the beginning of what they pay. I mean, the level one teachers pay that, but for this school, average is around 65,000 per teacher.
What is the current enrollment?
420.
And this forecast is based off of 432.
How are you
And
on,
there's plenty of time.
how are you in your special education index?
58.
That's the numbers, 58,
I have 58 kids.
with disabilities?
Is that where you anticipated me? Do you know?
No, that's more than what we thought we were going to have.
Okay.
But what she was talking about earlier is making sure with Josh that our IDEA, our numbers,
Are the same.
Oh, is that
By
what
level.
IDEA is?
Yeah.
Okay.
IDEA is special ed, and so the levels also
The levels,
determine
yeah. There are
the
big
amount per
difference, right?
child. Yeah.
What was the projected enrollment? 432.
32.
432.
I have 5 kids starting on Monday, so we'll be up to 425, but yeah.
And there's still a bunch on the wait list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In grade levels that are full.
Oh,
Of course.
That's the catch.
all right,
It's the grade levels that aren't full that we need more kids in.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on here, moving forward?
So according to that, this is what the cash flow will look like for the remainder of the year. We'll get a better understanding of expenses after August because we'll have the full amounts of salaries as well as liabilities and fringe benefits that'll hit. But this is our best approximation of what the year will look like if things stay the way that they are. Again, we won't have a very high cash balance at the end of the year whatsoever. So we'll definitely have to make adjustments. And again, this does not include the loan that Justin is working on. That is definitely going to help with cash flow tremendously. But this is where we are at without the loan.
Okay.
And here's the graph of what the cash flow will look like currently from the last slide. And lastly, our accomplishments thus far. FY24 payroll liabilities were paid. There's a wait list of students, so potential to exceed our projection. We would like to get a steady budget around Labor Day and use those enrollment numbers to kind of set the school up for a good plan. So we don't have the issues that we had last year. And future items, just manage the forecast based on September numbers and then get ready for FY24 audit. That is all I have other than bars.
Okay.
All right, so
Do we need to approve this?
You do not.
Okay.
No.
Bars, yes,
Yes, bars,
presentation,
yes.
no. But if no more questions on the presentation, please.
No.
Okay, Josh?
all right. So the first bar that we have is a major one for the kitchen infrastructure grant that was awarded to this school in the amount of $404,000. This will be going to fixed assets, $5,000 more, a vehicle, and construction services to work on some items so the food could be made in-house.
How is that being handled? Because it's a reimbursement, right?
It is. It is. So any of the expenses that the school has will have to get approval first. Then we'll pay for whatever it is. Then we'll get reimbursed within the next month or so. We're hoping for a quick turnaround when it comes to reimbursements, but they said, they can't promise anything under a month, but they usually have a pretty quick turnaround when it comes to reimbursements, especially because the expenses were approved beforehand.
And let me add that this is being processed through the Regional Education Cooperative as the fiscal agent, so it's not a PED dependent reimbursement.
Okay.
It's through a third-party state agency. And so that's why you see that it's, oh no, not this one, sorry, my God. I'm thinking about I was thinking about the first one on the list, which is Educated Fellows. This one is through PED,
This one's through PED.
right?
Well, it actually isn't, Karen. This one's not through PD. It is a subset of another government entity. We just had to submit a budget to PED for us to get full approval on
But
our
the
budget.
reimbursements are processed by,
The agency as well.
oh, good, okay, so
Yeah.
similar to what I was talking about.
Yes, very similar. Yes.
I'm just wondering how the build out of that affects the cash flow. If we have to.
Right.
If we have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, they said they couldn't promise anything under a month, but they said, usually they move pretty quickly within a week or two. But they couldn't promise that they would.
Is that where we just work with contractors to try to negotiate favorable terms so that we can pay them after we get paid, or is that not?
Can't do that. You have
Can't
to,
do
We
it?
you have
can't,
to submit evidence of payment.
right. Yeah, we had to pay them first before we get reimbursed.
And you can't pay them until the services or goods are provided.
Right.
So it is a very
Yeah,
time crunchy thing.
Yes,
But this is a great grant. So
Yeah.
kudos to Katrina for that.
for sure.
absolutely. And again, with the loan that Justin will be getting, that will definitely help with the cash flow, especially with items such as this.
When do we anticipate that loan coming through, Josh?
Um, I was told in September, early September, that the documents are being worked on as we speak, and things should be set by September.
It sounded like we need to have
Yeah, we have to have a special meeting in
a
order,
special session
because it
to
wasn't ready for today.
approve it.
That's right.
If it's ready soon enough, otherwise there's September meeting.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the bar.
Well,
Do you wanna do them
Oh,
all
all?
at the same time.
Oh, we can do it, okay.
Yeah, you can do them all at once.
Oh. Okay, I'll move on to the next one then, if no one has any questions.
So this is the one I was talking about.
Yes.
It goes through RAC 9 and it's the salaries, mostly salaries and benefits for Ed Fellows. Also, this year they added some supply assets so that you can buy some equipment or materials for the Ed Fellow specifically.
Laptops, computers, things like
Yeah.
that.
Also, or, Chromebooks to use with small groups or whatever, as long as the Ed Fellow is using it, as long as it's to support your Ed Fellow program. I also wanted to ask Josh, I think I read, but I could be mistaken. It used to be that we were allowed up to a certain amount total per person, which is listed here. And that if we didn't use it, we lost it. But I'm reading that, I read something that came through about that the funds will still be available to the school. Do you know anything about what I'm talking about, or do I need to research this? 'Cause I'm sorry.
If it's not exhausted, the school would be able to keep the balance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Hmm,
you haven't heard anything about that? Okay.
I've not heard that. That's would be pretty fortunate, but I mean, I know, yeah, I know the school is planning on using these funds for the EAs. If not, there's a little left over in supply assets, whatnot, then yeah, I haven't heard that, but I can definitely research that and find out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and look. It was while I was on vacation, an email came through, so I'm a little behind. I just got back on Monday. But also I wanna caution you all that if that hasn't changed, the way it works is that this is what's allocated, but some people don't pick all the benefits or don't need all the benefits, or we're paying them a little bit less or to match other EA, et cetera, et cetera. And so even though we have 98,200, if we use 76,000, we don't get the rest. That's how it's been.
Use it or lose it, got it.
And so if you're thinking about the budget, you can't really count all that money because you're only gonna get what you use in that amount. So certainly Jackie's gonna make sure we spend $4,000 on
Right.
supplies, but the rest is dependent on the salary and the
Right.
benefits of the individuals, and so we may or may not use it all. In which case, there could be a shortfall there if you're counting this towards the
And we
budget.
wouldn't be able to float the additional monies to supplies or anything?
No.
like that? Even though it's,
No,
That's not allowed, but.
No.
And I could be wrong about what I read, because there's a lot of emails that weren't urgent that I didn't read, and they're still all in here. But I may have misunderstood, but every year up till now, anyway, that's how it's been, is that if you don't use it, or they don't take advantage of all the benefits. Like, for example, they used to have a line for licensure fees. Well, most of them haven't finished a program to apply for a license, or they already had a license when they started.
Right.
So that's gone now. It's not even on the list, I don't think. But anyway, if they didn't use it, we just lost that few $100s. So the same is going to be true again, unless I find out otherwise, and I'll let you know.
That'd be amazing.
It would be.
No. And it's strictly reimbursement based, so that's how they make sure that you don't go over and and if you have any left over, that it's not used. Yep. Next is the state USDA allocation that PED kind of sets for the school, thinking that it's the anticipated amount that it's going to be used, that's going to be used by the school. So this is just a flow-through increase of $75,909. I assume that's going to be more than this, but we'll have to wait until they determine that before we, make another bar to increase it. But at this point in time, they set the school for the state portion of USDA funds of $75,909. There's still a federal portion of that for anything that the school uses over.
Okay, yep.
And lastly, the one that came in today, an SEG increase for all schools. There's a little bit of money left over for the state, and so they decided to increase SEG for most, but not all the schools. The allocation that was given to Rio Rancho is $104,487.04. So that would bring up our SEG amount to $1,718,478.60. And the expense item that I'll be going to is salaries for teachers.
Did we ever figure out what we're getting for SB 9?
Not yet.
We did not. It has to go into session to see how they're going to divvy up that money. And currently, Explore Rio Rancho, I believe, is on the docket, but has not. We don't anticipate receiving anything until that occurs. So we can't exactly put it in the forecast or anything until that happens.
And when is that?
October.
Mhm.
October?
I think it's the end of October.
I think so, yeah. It's coming up this fall.
Okay.
Okay, so if no other questions with the bars, do we have a motion to approve the bars as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the bars as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you, Josh.
thank you.
Watch the court.
Thank you.
Mike's coming on.
Jackie, that SB 9 is gonna be $56,033. I just feel it.
But you can't use it for, you can only use it on, okay, Mike's heading out. He'll be right back. Should we pause?
Yeah, but just let me make an announcement that the board is going to take a quick recess, and we'll be right back.
Unmute.
I unmuted. We're good.
I'll
Okay.
unmute myself just so that'll go away. Okay, we're returning from the recess. Chair Rosachowski.
So next on the agenda is government council business and upcoming elections and such. So I know that we had spoken a couple of meetings ago as far as everybody's intention for returning for the next year. That was up for renewals and whatnot, and we just need to know as far as intentions as far as officer positions.
We actually need to accept nominations for each position and then have a vote.
Okay.
So since you are the chair, perhaps do you want me to run this part of
Yes.
the meeting? So do we have any nominations for the position of chair of the board?
I nominate Mike.
Mike, would you accept that nomination?
I will accept.
Are there any other nominations?
Just don't nominate me for secretary, because I'm really bad at that.
I literally told her to say
I'm really bad at that.
All right, so hearing no other nominations, do we have a motion to designate Mike or elect Mike as the chair for the next year?
I move to nominate Mike as chair for the next year. Thank you.
A motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I guess.
You can vote for yourself.
yourself.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Do you want to take over the rest, or do you want me to continue?
You can continue.
Do we have any nominations for the position of vice chair?
Veronica Sanders.
Did she
I
express one
think-
way or the
I
other?
think she said that,
I think she said she was fine, I thought, as
I
long as
thought
she
she did
didn't
2
get,
weeks ago.
She said she would accept a
She
nomination,
didn't
but
want chair.
did not want to be chair, and she also said that she also is happy to defer to anyone else. So we have Skip nominated Veronica. Do we have any other nominations?
I would nominate Chris.
Me too.
Chris, would you accept that nomination?
I move that we nominate Chris.
So Kathy moves to designate Chris as vice chair.
I'll second.
Mike seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Your conflict of interest.
I know.
Hearing none, motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Kenworthy. Next is secretary. Do we have nominations for the position of secretary?
I move to nominate Skip Mack because he's so good on the computer.
I'll second.
Well, first she nominated Skip. Skip, do you accept the nomination?
Reluctantly.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for secretary?
Nobody else.
Hearing
No,
none,
no
do
one's
do we have a motion for the position of secretary?
I will make a motion to elect Skip as the secretary.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So we now have Chair Merzejewski, Vice Chair Kenworthy, and Secretary Mackey. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next is the annual review of the charter contract.
Now let's confirm the audit committee members. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure that these are the committee members moving forward. All committee members are required to attend a audit conference entrance and then an exit conference, and maybe others as needed. It's not a real high commitment, but you do need to be at those meetings. And we have Kathy and Chris as the representatives. We also have a grandmother actually now, community member that's on the committee. Robbie Lloyd was the parent. Is he still a parent of a student, and is he still willing? Probably need to.
a
Still a parent.
change. He's still a parent, yeah.
I mean, a
Probably-
parent of a student, I should say.
Yeah, we might be able to reach out to some of our new PTO members, or actually, I have other members that show up to PTO but would like to do not PTO but other stuff. So we just need a parent.
We do. It was Robbie, so if it's another parent, that's fine too, but we
Okay.
do communicate that with Mr. Lloyd as well.
Yeah,
They would need to make up the entrance conference, right? That was held in July and 26th and August 15th, so.
Yeah, there was another one last week.
But we can get a makeup for them if they want. So let's just talk about the board members for tonight, and then I can bring back the parent at the
Okay.
next meeting. But is it Kathy and Chris that will continue in this audit?
I already
program?
attended the entrance,
Okay.
so.
I did.
Okay,
I did mine.
okay,
Was I supposed to do one? I did it anyways.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we.
And then I have Katie there, but it's either Katie or Josh who
Mhm.
represents the Axiom, and then, so if there's nothing needed to do, then there's no changes at this point, but I may have this on the agenda next month because we may change the parent.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, moving on to the annual review of the charter contract and performance framework.
so that's just a link to your charter contract. Nothing's changed about it, nor has the performance framework. But it is recommended that it be reviewed each year by the governing board. I don't have anything to report on it, just would be happy if you all would review it. And if there are any questions, it's just an annual ask by the CSD that you do that. And it's a good practice because you may have more new board members or people who haven't really reviewed it before. But please take a look at those, and if there aren't any questions today, I can certainly entertain them next month if there should be any. That's just a standing annual checkup, if you will.
So any questions tonight?
No, I'm just reviewing it recently, so.
Okay, so moving on.
So the next is,
This is to go over what we were sent from Justin.
yes, so we were supposed to go into closed session. I was trying to set up a closed session in another meeting, but I think maybe we could just do it by muting that, because there's nobody else here. Josh doesn't need to. Yeah, so we would have, the closed session is specifically for the evaluation for last year that we need to have on file when CSD comes to visit. And I know we've talked about it, but we didn't have a
Yes.
formal one.
Okay. So make a motion to go into closed session at this time.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Would you normally
Motion to come out of closed.
Yes.
I move that we return from closed meeting.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So the takeaways from our closed session were that we, as a board, would like to request Justin to attend some of the meetings, at least quarterly. This way we can get a more accurate direction as to our financial financial status. It seems to be the biggest issue that we have. We wanted to have more clarity on that going forward.
Yep.
And more support from ELS on Jackie's side of things, again, coming from on the perspective of finances. Okay, anything else?
the
No
only
motion there.
thing I would
No.
like to
Okay.
just review that we did talk about was, so in regards to enrollment, families right now have 2 weeks in which to respond. And trying to fill these last 15 spaces, the sense of, like, I have families who are like, am I in, am I in, am I in? And I'm like, you gotta wait, because this other family, and even though I'm calling these families, and they're like a couple are really good, and they're like, nope, we're not coming, and then some are like, we're still deciding. If I'm waiting 2 weeks, September 5th is gonna be there, then, okay, let's say they decline, and I'm still gonna go to this next family before I can accept the family that I know is gonna take the spot. Could we look at, when we're in these time crunches to fill spots, can we reduce those?
I'm pulling up, I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm pulling up your, looking at your policy, because I think the enrollment policy probably specifies that.
That it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna check.
Okay.
If it does say in policy, then we would need to put on an agenda item and have a vote to change it, because, but I wanna make sure it's in there specifically, otherwise, what I would, and if it is in there, I would recommend that you say 2 weeks until the start of school, and then once school starts, it's
3 days or
whatever it is,
Yeah,
3
say
school
2
days
days,
or
2 days.
3 days.
5 school days.
Even 5 would be like, 'cause
5
just-
calendar
Yeah.
days,
So we
I don't
can
know.
Right.
But
turn it.
let me just, if you don't mind,
No,
either way, we couldn't do it today because it's not on the agenda.
no, I was just curious.
If we have that, the special session for that.
We could add that to
Can we
the-
add it to that?
Absolutely. As long as it's posted with the notice, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you want me to check that, or, I guess I could check and let you know, but
Okay.
good point.
So yeah, that was basically just the timeliness of certain things. So, moving on, strategic plan and key objectives.
Before we move on, can I just confirm? So we are going to do what I recommended in terms of you're gonna compile a head administrative evaluation for next year?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
so that basically is that line item F, so,
Well, F is for next year, but I'm talking about for last year.
well, F, we said that we were gonna review your suggestions as far as the other schools and adopt that at the next meeting.
For F. But
Right.
my question was in regards to your closed session was about Jackie's evaluation. I'm just confirming that Jackie's evaluation for last year will be compiled and done next
Yeah, it
month.
sounds like,
In
so,
addition to planning something for
Yes.
SY 25.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just wanted a blurb.
Okay. So Jackie, moving on to administration, I mean, I think we covered a lot of everything that you said outside of that context, but.
Really just, we're, building up those, I'd like to build up at least 15 more students, is I think my personal goal. We are losing a staff member, I am replacing a staff member. My very large concern, like I expressed earlier, is our local districts I don't know how they're offering what they're paying. So if you guys were to look at like Rio Rancho or APS's salary schedule compared to ours, and even ABQ compared to Rio, our salary schedule is under. It's really difficult to hire, and we're not as attractive. And then on top of, our calendar is actually a little longer. Our contract is a longer contract than some of our neighboring schools. So I just want you guys to be aware that that was also kind of like, oh goodness, to me. When I do have some parents, some single moms, and they're like, Jackie, I could go there and make, 7,000 more.
Can I comment?
Yes.
I totally get that. It's a charter school problem everywhere. It's partly driven by the budgets of a district that has 400 kids versus a district that has 18,000.
Right.
Also remember, and I always tell people this when they have these kind of arguments, is that, if we do class sizes of 25, 30, and 35, we could afford to pay more, right? So there is that piece of it. As you see, your enrollment drives your budget. End of story. If your enrollment is 15 kids a class,
I'm 22.
okay, 22 kids a class, shouldn't be. You do have that, and plus the freedom of being able to teach the way you teach. So not everything is
Right.
money. And I get it, I get why people look at that, but I'd much rather teach here than any school in Rio Rancho, regardless of the pay. But it is because of school budgets. And charter schools in their first few years are, as you've heard over and
Yeah.
over and over again, are always so difficult. And because so many of they're always difficult even when the teachers are more new teachers. You have a very experienced staff, which is great for our kids and it's fabulous, but it's
Okay.
costly.
Right.
And
And they're comparing previous employment versus current.
And they are looking at the other Explore Academy schools, and Albuquerque is a well-established school. They weren't in the beginning years being paid more than anybody else, or have such a competitive salary schedule, but they're now 1,700 students. Student enrollment drives what you can afford or can't afford. And so they are a little bit higher paid than this school, and that's a sore spot. I get it, I don't disagree with the problem, but I think there's a bigger picture there that it's not just like, oh, we don't want to pay them. We'd love to pay everybody a lot more, I'm sure, but if your school budget is what drives that, and enrollment is what drives that. And so, Explore Academy has 1,700 or 1,600 kids, that makes a big difference in budget.
Everything else?
I just wanted to share
No,
that.
those are just kind of like the newest things, and then obviously since having to staff.
Okay.
That is a small barrier.
And it came up today
I
with
know.
a staff member that Jackie,
I'm hoping she'll still stay.
well, that's,
that says, I could make X thousand more at Rio Rancho. It's hard to argue that.
Yeah.
with staff.
well, and the payment issues doesn't help, and just, all of that, right? It's easy to sway your decision one way or another if that stuff's happening, so we need to, and I think, as a board, we're gonna try to hold them a little more accountable and review some contracts and things like that, but, Axiom especially. I think, Skip was, or Mike was talking about, at some point having Justin come in. I think we want to understand, the model originally was 15, 16 kids. And the budget should have worked for that. That was probably pre-COVID when the model was originally created and adopted. And, we're in a completely different financial world. So, what is Axiom doing, what's Justin doing, ELS doing to adjust those things so that we're not $56,000, I know some of that's from last year's, surprises and all that kind of stuff. But just, if that model, if we're having to put 22 kids or 19 kids in certain classes and stuff just to pay the bills, and, just kind of want,
I'm sure this building's part of it too.
Yeah, all of that stuff,
I don't-
right?
I don't
So,
Ian's
just
worked.
trying to, wrap our heads around that a little bit more and understand.
Sure.
And just even as far as growth, as we were talking about earlier, as far as, the secondary school,
Yeah,
the thought of, understanding where we are now, and then the thought of bringing on something immense as that is, as far as our financial position regarding all of that, so that would definitely help. And I know that he was, is working on to put that presentation to us, together for us, but, those are just concerns that we have.
Sure.
So, any additional board comments?
Still Lucia.
Yeah,
No,
she
I'm
said
done.
she was
I'm
done.
done.
Okay.
I didn't hear
And
that.
your enrollment policy says they have 10 calendar days to complete the registration process. So if you want to entertain a change for next month, we can add it to the agenda for the next meeting, whenever that is, special or.
Obviously, no public, so no public comment, no board comment.
No, this, sorry, wait list is 2 weeks.
2 weeks, it does say specifically 2 weeks.
So,
Yeah, the lottery, after the lottery is 10 days, after.
Oh, wait, go down further. Has discretion to disallow the
No.
admission, okay, expelled from it. I
So,
was hoping that said
yeah,
discretion for us to change it.
Right?
It was about that you could disallow currently expelled, so we can't make any decisions on this because it wasn't on the agenda, but we can certainly look at doing that at the next meeting.
okay.
That would be a huge help.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next meeting is the 17th of